Yo, it's Elliott Hulse here, and during the 2015 Strength Camp Challenge, I had the good fortune to sit down and speak with some of the most entertaining, influential, and legendary kings and queens in the modern fitness era. These conversations are very informative, but relaxed and spontaneous, so I think you'll enjoy this experience. How do you practice self-love?
I love how stoic you said. How do you practice self-love? Well, dude, that's a deep, deep topic. I mean, there's like a lot of books written on this, right? Okay, so at the base of it, like people have to have personal boundaries, right? And you have to know how far you're willing to let other people push over those personal boundaries. And I think what you have to realize is that, they've written books on this, is the idea that like, some people believe that we have this like inner child. And even though we could be like Mr. Tough Guy and like, not give a crap about this or that, at the same time, that like inner child is witnessing this. And so we have to actually have personal boundaries that says, hey, yo, like I love myself, and I'm not going to let myself, witness, oh, hold up, boys. Yeah, just for the people viewing. Yeah, so basically just like, it's like you don't want to let yourself see certain things, like almost like what you would.
Sorry to interrupt, but that was it right there. What you did. I love everybody here. This is not against anybody, but that's called setting up boundaries. That's called, and I think that's what I hear you saying. When you feel like you're being encroached upon, where it's unnecessary, you can just make it very clear.
Yeah, like in a friendly way.
Right,
yeah.
And it's always friendly, but it's having enough self-love to say, hold on, help me out here for a second. And that's what I just saw you do.
Exactly. Thank you for noticing.
That's beautiful. Look, because it's not what, like we said before, it's not about what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's about who you're being. So a lot of people who are listening to this, like, they're looking for the thing to do. They're looking for that little tip to do. But Joe, you are authentic in that you be it. And that's why you don't need to say anything more, man. That's self-love in its highest. But continue.
Well, I guess it's just like, I even know for me, like I'll stretch really far for people, right? And then I realize that at a certain point, you're actually depleting yourself, and so when you actually take care of the temple, that's actually going to allow you to share more. So for example, I think a big distinction between most people versus people that are maybe a little bit more passionate is most people are working because, maybe they want to get a paycheck in order to, cope through life or to get the things they want. Whereas I think when you have a mission in life, your great satisfaction is like, for you it'd be like maybe posting that video or that amazing training session that you did or sharing or seeing somebody else grow. But that could almost push you to the point where you can start to deplete yourself and not even like look at how you are. But then you realize that you can't be at your best if you don't take care of yourself. So I think that some people, they're coming from a frame of like they want to take in order to kind of get what they want, but they don't realize it's not going to make them happy. It's just like this temporary sensory sensation. And it's actually being who you are and being proud of who you are that gives you that kind of like really like constant emotional buzz. So for me, like I feed off of things that are like this like nice present energy where I can feel good. Like I'm sitting here on like, haven't even been to bed yet, but I can sit here and just be like, I feel pretty good, and just like feel like that as much as I can. And that comes from who you're being as a person and what you're contributing and things like that. But then at the same time, you have to be careful not to overextend or to let people plow over you because you're actually depriving other people of your best work or, what you're capable of. So I think that like that, and also even in like the dating space, you can see guys that get so obsessed with one girl and they actually violate themselves by putting themselves out too much, and then the girl loses respect for them as well. But the thing is, I think with boundaries, like people can associate that with like, want to get in a fight or like push back hard. And I've seen people who lacked boundaries be like, no, I'm not going to take this anymore. Like I'm going to push back. I'm going to show who I am. And it's like, whoa, that's just being a child. That's not a boundary.
Robert Moore says, scratch every coward and underneath you'll find a tyrant.
Got it. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's, boundary, it's about like expansive energy. It's about making everybody win, and sometimes drawing a boundary actually helps. It even helps for everyone. Yeah. Even by the way, as entrepreneurs, it's so crazy too. It's a bit of an extension of the topic. Like, it's so crazy how like as an entrepreneur or somebody even who in their career wants to be at a high level, you have to like boundary off so many behaviors and influences that other people would let in. So essentially somebody at a high level, they've just made the choice to say, hey, if there's somebody who's like overly dramatic or disruptive in my life, maybe I have to let them go.
Right.
It's like super sad, and if there's like foods that are depleting me, or habits that are depleting me, or things that are making me late or not on point or not have my life together, I have to let those go. And essentially, so a lot of it is like creating those boundaries. And what's funny then is people who are maybe not quite at that level, they wish they could hang out with people at that level, but they don't realize is like, it's not that that person's at like a so-called higher level than you. They just have stronger boundaries. And if somebody with less boundaries is coming into that circle, it's like, hey, we'd love to have you here, but just work on your boundaries a little bit. We'd love to have you here, right? So it's like, people think that like other people are holding them down, but really, actually, a lot of time I think they kind of feel bad for them and hope they can do better. Everybody who's at the top is hoping to see other people come up so there can be more cool people to kick it with. But, again, that's like where the boundaries comes in.
Well said. The next question for you, my friend, is what is the single most important thing to you and why?
I have conflicts about that because I have 2 kids. And so I know the answer I'm supposed to give is my 2 kids, right? And I struggle with that. And they're up there, but I don't know what it is. I mean, like, I trust the mom of my kids to be a great mom, and, I do all the right things with my kids, I feel like. I mean, I feel like we'll see, right? But
we'll all find out later on. I know I got 4.
We'll find out, yeah. But, I guess for me what it is, like, what I really dream about is being at the potential of whatever it is that I could be, and making the best contribution that I could. Like, I know what it feels like to think I'm going to die, actually. Like, I've been in a pretty bad car accident before, and, like, know that feeling. And I think, like, the biggest lesson that I got from that was, like, be a good person, because anything that you wasted your time doing, being negative or, like, putting other people down or things like that, it's literally, like, it's not like I even felt guilty. I felt stupid. I'm like, that's a waste of time. It's just literally just a waste of life energy. I just don't want my life to represent that. And then the other thing is, like, the work that you do. When you feel good, like, I left behind good stuff. I did a good job. You can feel happy for that. So to me, that's
and
like...
that applies to your life's work, because every man and his mission should be intimate. And also to your family, because you preface what you had to say with your love and your desire for your family. So it's the same sentiment. It's the amount of love that you want to give to the world. But it's interesting that we spoke about boundaries. And really, you answered both questions by giving your answer to the third one, that self-love. And being what we say is become the strongest version of yourself and empower others. And I mean, what better mission in life than to absolutely be the best you, the most balanced you, the most everything you could possibly be in every realm of your life to everyone that you come into contact with, and be a blessing to everyone at the same time.
That's what I aim for. I mean, the world's in rough shape, right? There's a lot of bad stuff going on, but there's also a lot of good stuff happening too, and people don't want to talk about that as much. So I try to think about the potential and the better things that are happening. Just do what, I mean, it's like optimistic. It's like you're one guy though, right? So what can you really do? But you could just do. It's like if you just do what you can, then that's what you could do.
I said I wouldn't cut you off, but I disagree with one dude and how much you can do. Because how many subscribers do you have to your YouTube channel?
Between the two, like a couple 100,000.
Right, a couple 100,000. And some people might say that's not a measure of your goodness in the world. It's just a number of people who watch. But what they're not taking into effect are the hearts you've touched, the people you've changed, and the stronger versions of other people that are allowed to be that way because of your mission.
That, it's funny too, because like I think like you or me, we're kind of like the emblem of like a whole group of people, which is funny. And I'm sure you're aware of that too. It's like there's so many people that are behind us, right? Like even as we're sitting here, we have like our teams that are here, right? And then like all their efforts combines for this like one person that comes up. It's like, like we got the mouths, right? So we're like, can do our little thing. But then it's like it's so like for me especially, like there's so many people behind like what we've been able to do, right? So it's like literally everything from like people who would have even argued with me on a forum 15 years ago and make me clarify my thoughts and think of how to respond in a way that made more sense. It's that hard student that you have to sit there for 20 hours like working with until 7 o'clock in the morning to make them understand. But then because you did that, you can explain it better. It's that, in my case with the dating stuff, it's like that girl that might have ripped my guts out and forced me to like, find boundaries or self-love or things like that, right? It's the situations that challenged me, or even people that pushed on me, or people that challenged me in a positive way, or mentors of mine, or friends of mine, or like peers of mine, just like cool friends that I have, books that I've read, people like yourself that sent us, tons of visibility, or even learning from your speaking style and things like that. And it's just so many different things that come together so that like this one guy's like, hey guys, like check this out, you know, and then have that kind of come through. So it's like, it's just cool to be part of that. And then, you know, it's like you don't want to let people down. Like you want to actually just do a good job and let their efforts shine through whatever it is that you're doing, you know. So they're just like, it's like anybody that was in my life, like good, like quote unquote good or bad or like whatever it is, I'm just like so grateful for, you know, what they brought and to be able to like bring that out.
I like the fact that you mentioned people who are critical of you. That was an important lesson for me to learn this year, that, you know, sometimes the criticism is like you say, wait a second, slow down and explain yourself a little bit better. You know, figure out where you're not communicating with people and adjust your method, adjust even your strategy for your own practice of the method. You sent me a long email once, about a year ago, when I decided to stop making YouTube videos. And I want you to know I appreciate it. You essentially went out there and said, like, don't become like one of these losers who get all woo-woo, stop making videos, and then their life goes to shit. This was your advice to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, and you spelled it out.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, what an outpouring of love. And I really appreciated that.
Well, I've seen a lot of amazing people, like amazing people that there's just a lot of pressures that people don't get. And a lot of stuff kind of coming at you. And once you can kind of like get acclimated to it, it's cool and it's actually like pretty chill. But as it's kind of like coming at you in so many different directions, I've just seen some incredible people just stop. And
well, you got to figure out how to receive, how to reflect, how to set up boundaries with all the new energy that comes your way. You know, you have to either grow up or crumble. So one of the things that allows that to happen is creating boundaries, and that's why I felt firm in my decision to stop making YouTube videos, because really it was a lot of self-love reflected through boundaries. Hold on, I got to take care of myself here for a minute. Otherwise, you really do have a Jesus complex, right? Because that means I'm willing to be crucified for my mission. But I don't think that's what we're asked to do. I think we're asked to take care of ourselves because we have so much to offer continuously. So we can't let it kill us. We can't be. Part of our souls can be sacrificed, you know. Versions of ourselves that are no longer resourceful, but we continue on because the mission is bigger than the man. I went on your blog your forum a couple of days ago. I'm just checking in on everybody, see how they're doing before I speak to them. And I saw a lot of comments that looked like comments I was getting 8 months ago, which was, where the fuck are you? Where are the new videos? What's up? Where's Tyler at? And I smiled because I was like, yo, I think he might be creating some boundaries for himself. And that's always a sign that someone's about to become a stronger version of themselves. Because you have to evolve. In the Old Testament, the story of Jonah and the whale, it was a blessing that Jonah ended up in the belly of a beast underwater, because that means he's wrestling with the unconscious. And it's a dark place, and you need separation from the world. He's in the underworld. Speaking for myself, and my question is for you, speaking for myself first, I did a lot of wrestling with the underworld, you know, wrestling with the ego, wrestling with the bigger picture. I did a lot of wrestling during that time. What were you doing when you took off from all those videos, bro? What's up with that? You don't love people?
For me, it was that we got in such a role of filming, right? We were just filming and filming and filming and filming. The editing part, which is so time-consuming, I wanted to say in this kind of like just in the flow of just playing with new ideas, and we were playing with new cameras and different game styles. I rebuilt my whole game almost from scratch, which was kind of interesting. So
you rebuilt your game from scratch. So this is interesting because you're familiar with alchemy. And the idea of alchemy is turning stone into gold. So when we're wrestling with the unconscious, a lot of times what we're doing is we're creating our own life alchemy. In other words, transforming ourselves, right? So creating those boundaries allowed you to also reformulate your game. And when you say game, the way I see it is your character. I mean, you got a beard now. That's just one. The way we look is a signal to ourselves and everyone else that there's a change. Right? I'm wearing earrings. You know, there's symbology behind your beard. So how do you go about doing that? How do you go about transforming your character behind the scenes to come out with a new game?
It was weird, you know. There was a lot of crazy stuff that happened to us in the past year. We had a media fiasco. I had a crazy breakup. There was just a lot of stuff behind it that happened, right? And so
A lot of wrestling going on.
A lot going on. You know, one of my best friends, Julian, went through a lot. And so it was kind of interesting. Like, I think at a certain point when you're put under enough pressure, kind of like how you introduced it, funny enough, with the boundaries, essentially your mind has to become better at creating boundaries to what's coming at you. And a lot of it even comes down to like what Eckhart Tolle teaches, you know, about presence, and what a lot of Eastern philosophy teaches. Almost like, I mean, not to be too weird because it's getting a little out there, but kind of like dying before you die. Essentially like...
Well, no, it's not that weird, because I just did an entire presentation in Tampa on death and rebirth as a modality, as an archetype in life. And that Jesus doesn't just represent whatever historical figure or spiritual religious figure you think he is. He's a symbol that represents the fact that each man can be born again at any moment. He represents the death and rebirth. He's the phoenix burning and rising again, burning down, rising again. And it is a principle in life. Everything rises and falls. Everything comes to life and dies. And what you're experiencing, what I'm experiencing, what we're talking about is honoring that natural cycle of, yes, you're going to die to a version of yourself in this lifetime because you're different characters. You have different game, for example. And you will be reborn. You will be born again. You will become new. You will be a stronger version of yourself. And the things that you guys hear Owen talking about and the things that I talk about on my channel are some pretty good fucking tools for being born again as a stronger version of yourself.
Yeah, and it's very sad to see people that I think are stuck in, you know, the kind of day-to-day grind that's so repetitious and, you know, provide certain comforts, but they won't get to experience that. And I think in a lot of ways, like what you see out there, where you see people kind of like, you know, just driving down the street, like popping a Cheeto, screaming at their kid, kind of just half out of it, they don't get to experience that. And that's one of the things that, like, you know, in our social conditioning, in our mass conditioning, it's almost like encouraged to be like that to an extent. And I think with the internet...
You know what they call that? Hustling, grinding, going and getting it. It's a mind fuck too, because when you use that language, I mentioned this in my video yesterday, when you use that language that you gotta hustle, you gotta grind, you gotta kill it, it's, all of that is associated with resistance.
Yeah, and to be honest, I mean, I would say that's even been one of my sticking points over the years. You know, sometimes you can make things harder than they have to be.
We always
and I've learned
do.
a lot about that in the past year.
I'm very familiar with that, being a strong man, a football player, a masochist of sorts. Physical masochist of sorts. Dude, it's been a great conversation. I appreciated this.
Me too.
Go get some sleep.
Thanks for the invite.
Yeah.
I gotta
stretch.
All right, who's up next?
Yeah, let me take a quick break. How you guys all doing? Yo, it's probably a little like boring, dare I say.
Yeah, no,
It's cool? Okay.